I'm Jeffrey Villardwin, back in Total War. I want to do a critique this time. I'm going to try to be diplomatic in the way I am saying it, okay? But I'm actually a little bit frustrated, to say the least, with what is going on. Okay, so let's continue. And so we're at the end of January, and we had a new patch in, and diplomacy has been completely changed. And how diplomacy was working before was that if you had someone you wanted to talk to, you could go and give them a present. You go to give a faction. So I'm playing here Sparta. You go to someone, let's say, you want to improve your relations with your brother, and so you could give him a present. Now, how does it work in real life? So there were two kings, and you invite your brother over, and you say, I want to go to war with someone, and his brother say, oh, I don't want to. Oh, okay, goodbye. Is that how diplomacy works? I don't think so. Yeah? How diplomacy works is normally you invite someone, you give him a little present, like you give him a chalice or something, you give him a new shield, a helmet or something, say, brother, whatever, and this thing happened to me, and, I'm very upset, and I don't know what to do, and what do you suggest or something. Your brother will have to find a solution, say, okay, well, it would be really hard to persuade all the Achaeans, but, if you promise them to, they'll give them prizes or something, you can distribute gifts, when they conquer various places, because they fight with each other. We have to stop them from fighting with each other. We have to promise them things. We have to give them some presents. We have to persuade them. I have to call them, give them meals, invite them to my palace in Mycenae. I have to pay their expenses. That's how it's going to work. Yeah? You have to give them presents. You have to do things like that. And not only was the Trojan horse a present, it was a diplomatic present. It's a different story if it was, there were men hiding inside, but the Trojans accepted it as a diplomatic present. But the whole story about the wrath of Achilles was that his prize was taken away from him. And he said, my prize is been given to me by all the Achaeans. I have won it because of my acts of valor and, in battle and so on. And the Achaeans gave it to me, and now you take it away from me, And I said, everyone, everyone gives you prizes, but you give small prizes to others. And it was all an argument about this sort of thing. This is how it used to work in medieval 2 Total War, for example, I'm familiar with. You basically had, as a human player, one big stack. You went around and you fought for everyone. And if you were in good terms and you weren't upsetting your neighbors or allied factions and so on, now and then you could ask, if you're in good terms, good reputation, good whatever, reliability and so on, you could ask for a war subsidy, and they would give you some money. You could also give them some presents, little presents, and it was making them happy. Now, let's see how it works now with a new diplomacy, because that's how it was working this game before, until a couple of days ago. Let's have a look now. Let's go to the diplomacy. So I'm playing as Menelaus, the king of Sparta. I want to invite my brother for a meal to explain to him the situation and to make him sympathize with my situation. And so I invite him, I want to give him a present to make him kind of have bent his ear towards my case. And so I say, I want to give you, invite for a meal, enough to feed a man for a month or a week, or whatever it's supposed to be. One. Yeah? I'll give it to you. Look here. It says, this barter, it's not a present, it's a barter, will be considered a diplomatic gift by the other faction, but the amount will still be insufficient to actually encourage your diplomatic relations, currently about 0% of what's necessary. First of all, I don't really understand what it means. It will be considered as a diplomatic gift, because it doesn't appear anywhere, when I check, it's not recorded anywhere as a diplomatic gift. It's something that someone wrote. It has no effect, as far as I can tell. And so it's currently about 0% what's necessary. So, let's make it a bigger present. And I won't bore you, let's try one, take small steps. So let's make it a big step, yeah? Let's say, I give you 1,000 grain. That's enough to feed 1,000 men for a month or something. Okay. At least, because, that's a very large part of my economy. It's like, whatever, it's going to be like half of my economy or something, of my production, of my entire country. Let's see. Still not sufficient, okay? So let's make that 2,000. That's going to be like, well, I have to starve my own population to give to someone 2,000 for a meal, something like this, when I have a discussion with him about war. Okay, 2,000. Okay, still not enough. Right. Okay, 5,000. That's like the whole budget for half a year. My people will have to live on whatever, eat leaves or something. Now this is accepted. And before it gets accepted, let's see what difference that will make. Yeah, before I forgot. Let's go back. Let's go back. So here the status now is 340 going to 360, and they are friendly. Yeah? They're not even upset with me or neutral. They're friendly. He's my brother. He has like 340 going to 360. Let's see now. If I feed him so much food, there will be the entire country could be eating that food for like half a year. Whatever. Let's see how much his situation will improve. Okay, let's do it again.
A family acting in unity is a force to be reckoned with.
5,000. Okay. It's like enough to feed one stock, like for 10 game turns or something. It's crazy amount of money. No, not 10 game turns. 4 or 5 game turns, something like that.
A satisfactory.
It was going to go to 360. It's going to 361, and I've given this kind of presents to Hippolyta, and nothing has happened basically. From 4 we're going to 2. It doesn't matter how much you give her, nothing happens. And Hippolyta, she was an Amazon, and Penthesilea supposedly fought on the side of the Trojans for a time. However, Penthesilea was also a lover of Achilles. And Hippolyta was a lover of Theseus. They were not lovers of Hector. And so I'm not really so sure that this should be so impossible to move her opinion about my faction by an inch. Given her so many big sort of gifts, nothing happens. So I don't know. Diplomacy. You have to be diplomatic. To have diplomacy. And I think what happened with the change in the diplomacy was not very diplomatic. The way of going from the older diplomacy, which was the old style diplomacy we found in Medieval 2.0, which was a very successful mod game, to this new diplomacy, where you cannot have war subsidies, you cannot have diplomatic gifts, or if you have diplomatic gifts, it makes no difference whatsoever, even if they're crazily kind of huge. We've gone from that to this. Don't know if this is, whoever is dealing with diplomacy, if he is a great diplomat himself. Of course, this is a game and it's about war. But war happens because diplomacy fails. That's why war happens. And so diplomacy is like the thing that will stop the war. But how can it stop the war? It doesn't matter how many gifts you're going to give. You're not going to stop the war with another faction. I've even tried to give someone a territory. I've given Ajax the Lesser a whole territory, this yellow one, and that other yellow one. Or either or both. I cannot persuade him to attack the Trojans, although he was an ally of Agamemnon. By giving him whole territories, it makes no difference to a friend. You cannot persuade him to attack the Trojans in the Trojan War. And he was one of the major heroes. I cannot play. This is on easy difficulty. This is not on normal difficulty or something. You know, I mean, it's not as if this game was easy to start with. It's not like the campaign was an easy campaign. And I don't know what this person had in mind when he changed diplomacy. But this is not what I understand by diplomacy. Thank you for watching.